I'm making this video not to scare anybody, but simply to inform the masses. You can do with this information what you will. There's an issue going on right now because the current occupant in the White House, instead of hiring a medical doctor to be the head of Health and Human Services, he decided to hire an environmental lawyer who basically kissed his behind and complimented him, but was not qualified. When he had the opportunity to give that job to Dr. Ben Carson, who was the world's most famous and accomplished pediatric neurosurgeon, he gave Ben Carson the job over HUD, Housing and Urban Development. So you give a medical doctor HUD, and you give an attorney who's had a worm in his brain and has been a heroin addict since he was 14 years old and eats animals out of Central Park, got kicked out of boarding school for having heroin on him, and still got into Harvard because of his last name and who his father and who his uncle was. That's DEI. And for a little context, this is the guy he decided to hire, this gem of an intellectual.
We found 250,000 Americans over the age of 124 who are collecting collecting Social Security, or collecting workers' compensation.
Yep, that dude. The dude who sounds like he's been moonlighting as a fire eater for extra money. And nobody even corrected this man. 250,000 people over the age of 124 years old abusing workman's comp. So that means they still working. Does he even hear what he's saying out of his heroin-riddled mind? That made sense to him. That made sense to him. He shouldn't be in charge of the local cat kennel, let alone your health care. So you take this man who has been a trust fund baby and who hasn't had to earn his spot anywhere, and you hand him a position over the country's health when he is not a medical doctor. And now measles are on the rise. And don't take measles as this is some little innocent little disease. You're going to get a little rash and it'll eventually go away. Measles are deadly. As of last week, we were at 1,912 cases of measles. In 2020, we had 13 cases all year long. That's a 14,608% increase in just measles. And it's going up by the day. Yeah. So let's talk about measles. I looked this up on ChatGPT. Any of y'all can do this. It's not difficult. Everything we need is at our fingertips today. There's no excuse for anybody to be stupid. And when you have a man whose family speaks out against him, Caroline Kennedy said, please do not give this job to my cousin. She knows her cousin. Then John P. Kennedy III, his nephew, Carrie Kennedy, his sister, asked him to resign. These people know what they know about this man. They know way more than we know about him, and they asking him to GTFOH, okay? So let's talk about measles. Yes, measles can be very serious, even deadly if you are not vaccinated. This isn't scared talk. It's well-established medical fact. See, some of y'all would rather listen to RFK Jr. than Dr. Fauci or somebody who's been in the medical field for 50 years, back with the HIV scare. And it's one of the reasons why people are now living with HIV instead of dying from it like they were in the late 70s and the 80s. But no. Oh, don't nobody want to listen to the MDs. They want to listen to Robert. I need somebody to make it make sense. What measles actually is. Measles is one of the most contagious viruses known. If an unvaccinated person is exposed, about 9 out of 10 will get infected. The virus can linger in the air up to 2 hours after an infected person leaves a room. Common symptoms. It's not just a rash. It usually starts with a high fever, often 104 degrees, severe cough, runny nose, red inflamed eyes, then a full-on body rash. People often feel extremely ill, not mildly sick. Serious complications. Among unvaccinated people, especially children, short-term complications, pneumonia, seizures, severe dehydration, ear infections can cause permanent hearing loss to your child. Encephalitis, that's brain swelling, brain damage, or death, especially amongst children. Long-term complications, autoimmune diseases. It says measles can wipe out the immune system, and thousands have already died globally from this. Is measles worse for certain people? Yes. These are the people at higher risk. Infants, pregnant people, can cause a miscarriage or a premature birth. People with weakened immune systems, adults who never had measles or the vaccine, often more severe than in children. So, yeah, this is measles. So do with this information what you will. The numbers are spiking. This is what happens when you put somebody who's had a silver spoon in his mouth all his life in charge of the people's well-being. Because if something happens to him or his people, they're going to get the best care. They're going to get everything. Your medical care is about to triple in January. So if you were paying $400 a month for your health insurance, you're about to pay minimum $1,200 a month. If you had a pre-existing condition, you might not get seen at all starting next month. So this is what some people voted for. And the people who are in power, they don't have healthcare issues. You can't hurt them, but they can hurt you. So y'all thought y'all was voting to hurt other people when you just got slapped like Chris Rock at the Oscars. And let me be clear, I'm not solely blaming RFK Jr. for this deadly spike, but I am blaming his rhetoric.
That's it.